About 2 months ago, when the AOT anime ending dropped, I made a video explaining why Attack on Titan had the worst ending of any anime slash manga I've ever watched, and the big reason was how badly Eren's character was shitted on at the end of the story. And it honestly just makes my head hurt seeing all of these people just accept this shit and go along with something that they should know completely invalidates his character in the story itself. Just look at this video as a response back to another section of the contestant comments I got in that video, as a big part of Eren going from my literal favorite anime slash manga villain slash character of all time to turning into an absolute joke, as I stated in the video, is how he literally accomplished none of what he set out to accomplish. The island of Paradise gets destroyed, and also apparently the Titan curse still exists even after Eren was supposedly supposed to destroy it. Why? Eren became a joke of what he was set up to be. He destroyed billions of people for literally no reason at all, nothing, and which just completely shits on his character. And loads of people responded saying that Eren did accomplish what he wanted. And I gotta admit, some of the comments were just straight up attempts, sad attempts, to belittle my intelligence, saying how is it so hard to understand all Eren wanted was for his friends to live long and happy lives. How is that so hard to understand? I'm not going to sit here and act like Eren never said he wanted his friends to live long and happy lives, because he certainly did make those statements, and it would self-admittedly be very disingenuous for me to act like he never even said that and that was never a factor. But it certainly was not the main priority or the only, especially the only thing that he wanted to achieve and make sure of. People trying to claim that all Eren was for his friends to live long and happy lives are just blatantly wrong. Eren showed time and time again that he was willing to put the lives of all and any of his friends in danger to complete his goal and his plan and get the Warhammer Titan, for example, where Sasha would end up dying. And of course, Hanji ends up dying in the process of the Alliance trying to stop the rumbling. So I guess those friends just didn't matter. Those just wasn't his real niggas. I guess. Well, obviously, of course they were. Of course they did. Of course they matter. But the story was clearly implying that Eren was willing to push past this to achieve what he wanted for his people and Eldia as a whole, which was shown through his internal monologues and verbatim statements that he made time and time again. And what do people run to explain this or to justify these blatant inconsistencies? Well, yeah, this just shows how mentally ill Eren was. And it's just an idiot. He's just an idiot. He says so. And I went over the specific scene of Eren being an idiot in my last Attack on Titan video, where I explained why the conversation between Eren and Armin was still bad, even in the anime. And one of the main reasons why it's just as bad, if not worse, is because it further shits on and assassinates Eren's character and uses his character as a punching bag, with this added end scene of Eren admitted to being an idiot. You know, I really got to hand it to Isayama and everyone else he worked with to change the scene from the manga to the anime to further force in this inconsistency of Eren being an idiot. Because what it does, I mean, it's genius actually, to get everybody to just chop up Eren's bad and disturbingly illogical decision making that contradicts his character to such a horrendous degree. He chops it up to just Eren being an idiot all of a sudden, and instead of recognizing the shit and inconsistent writing on Isayama's end, yeah, Eren's just an idiot, and it just allows people to subconsciously, I guess without even realizing it seems, turn all of their reasoning for why nothing Eren does makes sense away from Isayama as a writer, because now they can just pin everything on Eren being an idiot, which the idea of is further pushed by this added scene in the anime, which, like I stated, can't help but think is a Batman IQ genius move by Isayama to shift the blame from him retconning a character and making bad decisions as a writer to make sure everybody just blames it on Eren being a dumbass, and just have him be used as the punching bag and blame for why nothing makes sense in the conclusion regarding the conclusion of his character. Everybody should be able to see through this ploy and know not to accept that this is just Eren's character to try to explain away or justify the bullshit we got in this ending. The idea of Eren just letting Sasha and Hanji die because he's just an idiot is fucking retarded and bullshit. It's not because he's an idiot, it's because his priority, as he states to all the Eldians of the world when he begins the rumbling, is not to leave Eldia's fate / future to chance. To 100% guarantee the islands, not just his friends' safety from the threat of persecution from the world because of their Titan abilities. This is what he says out his fucking mouth. You cannot argue with me here. When Isayama changes Eren's motivation and mentality from this to all of a sudden, I don't know, I'm just an idiot, I guess. Instead of having him remain consistent and have it stay because his priority is the island and he's willing to stop at nothing to see his goal through, which was always shown to us to be the complete and total liberation of his people and the island of Parades. This is the most disrespectful retcon to a character that I have ever seen in any story that I have ever had the pleasure or displeasure, I guess in this case, of consuming. But people just accept it instead of calling it out and calling it for what it is. How can you accept something that makes absolutely no fucking sense? If Eren's only goal was always just to make sure his friends only live a long and happy life, then he should have had no problem with Zeke's plan or the 50-year plan from Hanji. But we see Eren reject and show disgust to all of these ideas because of them continuing the cycle, and none of these plans included the 100% guaranteed erasure of any possible threat to Eldia from the outside world because of their Titan powers and capabilities. The only thing that could guarantee that 100% is a 100% rumbling, which is why Eren does the rumbling. He says this is why he does the rumbling. We starts the rumbling. So why does Armin even ask Eren why he does what he does in the last episode / last chapter? Just that doesn't even make any fucking sense, because he already fucking said it in chapter 123, for fuck's sakes. But I guess Isayama had to write this in to open up the opportunity for Eren to give a different answer, which would open up the doors that allows him to retcon Eren's character to I don't know, I just had to. Why do so many people not understand why this would enrage fans who were fully invested into Eren's character? Because when you go from being compelled to a character that of course obviously doesn't want to go through with killing billions of people, as we see very clearly in chapter 131 when he breaks down in front of a little boy that he's going to have to kill in the future, but he sees that he has no choice to, because it's the only way that he has seen in his visions, as stated by him, to 100% secure his island safety. And also, like we see at the end of the story, because the Titan, the island gets destroyed, right? To 100% secure his island safety and ending the cycle of families eating each other, to now just being, I don't know why. I'm just an idiot who got a lot of power. Because now this character has just been reduced to a dumb psychopath that didn't even know what the fuck he was doing. And that and don't say that Eren's an idiot because his first action is violence. That's also just very wrong, because Eren's first answer to everything has never just been violence. It's always been when he's backed into a fucking corner, bro. Like, what type of shit are y'all niggas? What is wrong with these niggas' brains, bro? Nobody else was even able to give an answer to give an answer. Just guesses as to what they would hope would allow them to survive, but obviously wasn't good enough. Hanji couldn't give Eren an answer. When he asked her, nobody else had an answer to 100% guarantee the island safety. This was the only thing Eren could do that could 100% guarantee the island safety, which is what made the story compelling, and is what made Eren's transition into a villain brilliant and compelling. And what made, and we also know Eren tried to look for any other possibility. Because of this, he walked through Marley and realized this entire time, the entire world hated him and his people, and heard Tiber's declaration of war to genocide his people, which is what confirmed his decision. He was literally walking through Marley to confirm his decision and to see, okay, is this really what I have to do? And he heard Tiber's declaration of war. He was like, okay, this is what I have to fucking do. I'll just keep moving forward until all my enemies are destroyed. It's why he initiated the attack on Marley after realizing that he essentially has been left no choice. Now just has to keep moving to ensure his people's safety, even if he ends up becoming the same thing that he was once a victim of, because that's how far he would go for his people, turning into the devil to make sure that his people could experience heaven on the other end. I mean, he literally says this to fucking Flacco. He's like, okay, it may end up being another hell, or it may end up being more hell, or it may end up finally being a heaven, but nobody knows unless we keep moving forward. Like, that's his whole fucking mentality. That was always what was being consistently fed to us and shown to us and monologued to us through Eren's thoughts. That was the phenomenal storytelling that I thought I was reading. But now all of a sudden, Eren would have just done it anyway, because he just, even if that wasn't the case, because he just wanted to all of a sudden. What? Now all of a sudden he's just an idiot, and that's why he did all this, and that's why he leaves it to Armin, literally leaving the fate of his island to chance by leaving 20% left and not going through with the full rumbling, leaving his island to chance, which is something that he specifically said he would not do. He would keep moving forward no matter what. I don't have a problem with the Alliance stopping Eren. The Alliance can still stop Eren, just don't have it be because Eren himself switched up and decided to purposely stop at 80% and let his friends be seen as heroes, which is not concretely, which would not concretely establish the island's safety like he sought to do initially, and is literally doing the opposite of what he always preached. He's especially now leaving his island to chance, because do y'all niggas really not think that they aren't especially gonna want to wipe them out, when now what they fear, what will happen actually did happen when they were already persecuting and trying to wipe these niggas out for the threat of the rumbling? You think they just not gonna, you think they not gonna spin back for actually doing it? Like, what the fuck? So to try to defeat this point by saying chances are the island didn't get wiped out for the rumbling, it's just illogical and kind of just disingenuous. And it doesn't matter anyway, because either way the island is still being wiped out by the rest of the world for one reason or another, which is because Eren left 20% alive in the first place, which is the worst plan he could have possibly come up with, anybody could have possibly come up with. And it just turns his character into a fucking retard, because those 80% that he killed, all those billions of lives that he wiped out, it was literally all for nothing, because it didn't stop the island from being wiped out, because he left 20% alive to come back and destroy the island later down the road. The 100% full rumbling would have actually been logical and had a point to it, because there at least would have been a point to all of those people dying, because it would have been to 100% guarantee the survival and safety of his people from the outside world, which for the last time what his goal was always stated to be, until the bullshit retcon that people just accept as making sense. If his goal was always to make sure his friends live a long and happy life and nothing else, he should have had no problem with Zeke's plan or Hanji's plan, because they accomplished essentially the same thing, the same result, but with none of the casualties from Eren's 80% plan. The point to all of these casualties would be to guarantee his island's safety from the rest of the world. Now again, this isn't me saying that I wanted Eren to go through with a rumbling necessarily, or 100%. Complete the rumbling 100% necessarily. As I said, I'm still fine with the Alliance winning, as long as it's written right. If Isayama would have just let Eren stay how he was and keep gunning for 100% and just have him be defeated genuinely by the Alliance in a way that makes sense, but still have Eren's decision to genuinely be to complete the rumbling and to actually be prioritizing the completion rumbling over his friends' lives, instead of purposely stopping to let his friends win, which I just explained why is the dumbest shit ever. It makes Eren's completely logical as a character. The ending would have already been, just that in itself would have already made the ending of Attack on Titan 100 times better. I understand that Eren wasn't the smartest character ever, but you would have to be arguing that Eren is a legit fucking wheelchair riding, helmet wearing, drooling mouth ass nigga to argue that this makes sense, which is very disingenuous to claim, but everybody just goes along with it.
Truth is, Eren was never sure. He was always an idiot.
But as, you know, a very flawed, kind of stupid and emotional human being, like
Eren reveals that he is still just a fucking idiot that found a lot of power. He even says that word. He says he is a garden variety idiot who fell into a lot of power.
Eren's always been kind of stupid. Eren's always been an idiot. Blah, 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 blah. So, okay, so let's all just forget about all the development Eren showed and monologued as a character post-time skip. Let's all forget about him figuring out the Warhammer Titan's weakness, where the shifter was, by analyzing how it transformed, putting 2 and 2 together on that, coming up with the idea to use the Jaw Titan's jaw to break the crystal when he saw it couldn't be broken through conventional means, deducing that the Warhammer Titan must have been out of fuel by figuring out when she attacked Eren by trying to fucking stab him through the nape, by figuring out that she must have poured all of her energy out in that last attack to try to kill him through the front of his neck, figuring out that must have been her last play by the nature of how she transformed and attacked, deducing that it must have been Reiner that got the Merlians to launch their attack during the War for Parodies. Eren literally has arguably the most impressive battle IQ feats and just IQ feats in general I can think of out of all of the characters, even better than Armin post time skip. But now we're all just willing to accept that he's just this person that doesn't even have an eye that we would have to be accepting that Eren doesn't even have an IQ that's even close to being above room temperature. All of these big YouTubers saying the same thing about Eren being idiot, and they're just wrong, blatantly wrong. It's time for us to accept this shit. Eren got retconned into being a dumbass because Isayama wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He couldn't stick to his guns about Eren and let him stay the final genuine villain of the story and have his goals stay at 100% and wanted to change him at the last second because he couldn't stick to a decision and try to redeem him at the last second by having him stop at 80%, leave 20% alive, so we wouldn't see him as completely evil, I guess. And even though we should have already known that he wasn't fucking evil because he was doing this to 100% guarantee his island safety, and we know that doing this destroyed him because he was crying that he would have to kill a little boy in the future, right? But just so he doesn't think we'll see him as completely evil, I guess, and made him let his friends win to try to change Eren into some Lelouch type character, which does not work because Eren already killed 80% of the fucking world. Like, what the fuck? He turned Eren into a completely illogical character in the end due to what seems to be his clear indecisiveness of what he actually wanted Eren to be in the end, apparently. Because now Eren apparently doesn't know what he's fucking doing. Isayama clearly didn't even know what the fuck he wanted to do with Eren. He can't handle all the things and visions that he's seen in chapter, like he says in chapter 131 all of a sudden, even though he seemed to be processing all of these things just fine when he explains to Ymir what he wanted her to do for him. He seemed to be thinking very clearly and know exactly what he wanted and why. Eren, written as the character who couldn't accept what his island was being Eren was written as the character who couldn't accept what his island was being subject to. Just letting his friends live a long and happy life, that would be part of it, but that was not enough. That in and of itself was not enough. He couldn't just allow that at the expense of his race through something like euthanasia. That is something he could never fucking accept. That's the whole point of Eren's character, is that he was the character that wouldn't accept that. That's what the point of his character was supposed to be about, not accepting that shit. That's what he was being written as. Nothing was more important in Eren's mind. But now all of a sudden he's crying because Mikasa won't think about him for the next 10 years after he's dead. What the fuck? This is a clear regression of Eren's character, not because I want him to be seen as some fucking Chad.
To some degree, I think people just wanted him to be cool.
Isayama should be applauded for framing Eren not as, like Sigma, Christian Bale, Andrew Tate, badass, whatever.
But he was very highly emotional, and he was never like that talented, and he was never a Giga Chad. And it seemed like that showed at the end. And it feels like Eren fanboys took that personal more than anything. At least in my perspective, my opinion.
Bro, I'm so fucking tired of hearing this fucking talking point because it's like these niggas they aren't even listening to what we're saying. They're just making up their own arguments that they think we make while not actually listening to what the fuck we're actually saying. There's been plenty of times throughout the story where Eren was about to die, but didn't think about Mikasa. What was on his mind was securing his island safety and freedom for his people, without having to worry about the threats of Titans or anything else that would stand in his way down the line. When he was in the stomach of the Titan, did he start crying about Mikasa? No, he started crying because he wasn't going to be able to accomplish freedom. He wasn't going to be able to get to see the ocean, and he knew he had to defeat all of the Titans in order to make that fucking happen because the Titans was holding them back. Was he was literally getting annoyed by her wanting to follow him around in the first arc of the series. Like, what the fuck? When he's about to let his story eat him, does he think to himself, damn, I never got to fuck Mikasa? When he gets his fucking head shot off by Gabby, is he thinking, damn, I still don't know what Mikasa's pussy feels like? No. When he's saved by Zeke and regains consciousness, the only thing that is on his mind is completing the rumbling and backstabbing Zeke to fulfill his goal and to see his goal through. And obviously, it does Eren's character a complete disservice, because now we can't even just take this nigga seriously anymore, because you just wiped out all these people, but you're whining about a girl you have had several opportunities to fuck but never did. I mean, every time she threw the pussy at this nigga, he was literally matrix dodging that shit, my nigga. But we're now all of a sudden supposed to buy this nigga having these strong pent up emotions about her, to where he's crying over that when he just wiped out billions of people. We saw him come to terms and cry over something way more serious, and which was him wiping out billions of people, right? So it was way more serious than that, which is why Eren's mentality should have been more evolved by this point, which is why it regressed the shit out of his character and makes it totally inconsistent for him to be crying over this and this. Like, this nigga already did and got through all the other shit that was way more serious, which is why it makes no sense. And it also makes no fucking sense for him to be acting this way over Mikasa once again, because he already knew he was going to die because of what he was planning to do in the Titan curse, and would have had ample time and opportunities to find out what Mikasa's pussy lips tasted like, if he was really that distraught over not getting with Mikasa. But when Mikasa leans in to kiss this nigga in the finale of season 2, Eren literally turns away from the bitch. Because what was more a priority to him was Eldia's future and survival of his friends and people. All that other shit can take a back chair. When he remembers a conversation he had with Zeke asks him what would he do about Mikasa, and he literally says that it doesn't matter because I have 4 years left. He's remembering this conversation in his head, but he doesn't monologue anything about to imply him lying to Zeke, about him lying or anything like that, about him really wanting to fuck Mikasa. No. And if he did, he could have easily fucking done that. Why would he have a reason to even act like that in front of Zeke? So this whole, he was just acting, that doesn't make any sense. He's monologuing the shit in his head. Who's he trying to convince in his head? I'm not trying to claim that Eren didn't give a shit about Mikasa, but simply just trying to point out that not only has he never showed any sign that he has such strong romantic feelings about Mikasa, to where he will break down and cry about it even after he already killed 80% of the world and his own mother apparently, but he only showed signs to the contrary. While yes, he obviously did care for Mikasa, but it was made very clear in the story time and time again that Eren did not harbor the same level of strong romantic feelings for Mikasa as Mikasa did for Eren. And Eren showed time and time again that he was willing to put everything else on the back burner because nothing was more important than the freedom of his people and race from the threat of persecution from the rest of the world, as evident through his constant monologues and memories being shown to us about what his goals are, which is why it is simply inconsistent. He's literally monologuing, telling people in flashbacks, I'm going to destroy the world. Like, what the fuck? I need to wipe out the world. I need to complete the rumbling. Like, which is why this shit is simply inconsistent. And people try to reach and justify this glaring inconsistency by saying Eren just didn't know how to confess his feelings to a girl that has obviously been swinging from his nutsacks for years, been on his dick from day one, made it crystal clear this nigga would not have gotten rejected. Even by the age of fucking 19, he still couldn't. He can go through with killing children, slaughtering billions, has seen his close friends die in battles at fucking 15, 16 years old, but can't express his feelings to a girl that has made it very clear that he would not get rejected if he did. So apparently Falco is more capable than Eren, because he could confess his love for Gabby with no problem. Do y'all niggas seriously need me to explain how fucking ridiculous and retarded that shit is? He never did that because he never shared the same level of romantic emotions that Mikasa shared for him. But no, people just concede Eren's just an idiot so that they don't have to acknowledge Isayama's shit fucking writing on the behalf of Eren's character, and so that they can just keep sound effects incoming on Isayama's dick. I hope I get glazed like this when I drop my own story. Please, bro. Please glaze me like Isayama. Please on my dick. Like y'all doing for Isayama when I come out with my shit. Cause I'ma need the fucking support, my nigga. I'ma need the support. I don't got shit right now. I need a fucking breakthrough, bro. What reason does Eren have to act Chad in front of Falco? Quote unquote Chad, right? in front of Zeke? What reason does he have to monologue this behavior in his own head? Who is he acting for? There's no such thing as a Chad Eren. Nobody is obsessed with the Chad emotionless. At least I'm not obsessed with the Chad emotionless perfect Eren. No one had a problem with Eren being emotional before fucking chapter 131. Chapter 139, because every time Eren was emotional before this scene, it made sense for his character. We're just able to acknowledge that these final scenes are not consistent with Eren's character. Eren says that he's an idiot. I know he says that he's an idiot. And what this video is to demonstrate to people is why it doesn't make sense for Eren to all of a sudden be this dumbass idiot, and that is a disrespectful retcon of his character because it blatantly contradicts Eren's character and the events that happened earlier in the story. You cannot just change a character without creating a setup for the change you want the character to undergo. That's basic writing 101. There has to be a build up. Like, you have to make it make sense. You can't just expect fans to accept a change or inconsistency like this without any further explanation or anything to make sense of it. Eren showed a legit level of calculatedness and understanding of the world around him post time skip. Hell, nobody else even had an answer because the island gets destroyed in the end anyway. So it turns out, as far as we know, that was the only thing Eren could have done to secure Eldia's safety, albeit how fucked up it is. But it's genocide. The Eldians got genocided. So what's your point? But it's okay because it's on the reverse, on a smaller scale. So that makes it totally fine. Innocent people can die on that end. It's cool. Eren got written into a joke of a character because Isayama clearly could not stick to his guns on what to do with him. We didn't want Chad Perfect Eren. We just wanted Eren. And we've seen that Eren is not an idiot. I didn't interpret Eren wrong. I just simply acknowledged what he was. And because of that, I am able to acknowledge the retcon of his character. We wanted Eren's character to remain logically consistent, but Isayama couldn't allow his character, and quite frankly, the story itself, to remain logically consistent because it seems that he couldn't stick to a decision of what he wanted these niggas to do in the end anyway. Don't try to gaslight me because I call out the retcon and recognize the issues and the inconsistencies. Don't blame me for wanting a character to be how he was set up to be and acknowledging that he isn't acting how he was set up to be. Blame Isayama for being an inconsistent and incompetent writer instead of just going along with it, so that you don't have to acknowledge how badly Isayama fucked up his own story and what could have been one of, if not the greatest story of a transition of a character from compelling story of a transition of a character from protagonist to villain in all of anime/manga history.
Thank you.